Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this English lesson. We're going to talk a little bit about bad habits. We'll start in about 27 seconds. Once again, I almost said 27 minutes. We're not starting in 27 minutes. Just let me do a few checks here, and we'll start in about 14 seconds. I think everything looks to be working properly. We'll start in about 6 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this English lesson where I'm going to talk about bad habits. Bad habits are, of course, things we do that aren't good for us, or maybe they just annoy other people. They're kind of the opposite of good habits. There are things you do in life that are good for your health, they're good for you, and other people appreciate it when you do them. Bad habits are the opposite. I was looking through my lesson topics and I realized that I had done lessons on chores and errands and happy things and daily routines, and mostly I talked about good things. And I thought I should do at least one lesson where I talk about something negative. So today we're going to learn a little bit about bad habits. By the end of this lesson, you'll have learned over 40 names and phrases that we use in English to talk about bad habits. So let's get started in just a moment. Before we do, though, let me do an audio check to make sure everything is working. Sounds like everything is working great. And let me get set up here. I clicked in the wrong spot on my other screen. Let me just get that open back up. It's hard to do the lesson if I can't see what I'm talking about. Makes it tricky. I can't do the lesson blind. Anyways, before we get started, I want to say hello to Anuat, Key Park, Mode Eggs, Lolly Lolly, Wanda. I know that Norma is here, Naomi T is here, Evgeny is here, Vito is here as well, Rodrigo Oliveira, Brent from American English with this guy, and many, many, many other people. Too many to name. I know Eugene from Etobicoke is here as well, and Norma, but now I think I'm saying names twice. Welcome to this lesson. I hope that you have an enjoyable time. I do want to say thank you in advance to Brad and Jim for being here and moderating the lesson. If you would like to have great practice English conversations, well, they're not really practice, are they? Real English conversations in the chat, that would be awesome. Please keep the chat in English so that everyone can benefit from what's happening there. And again, if you do have a question about the lesson, Bad Habits, please use the form that will be linked in the chat to ask it. Should we get started? I think we should. The first bad habit I want to talk about is something that maybe children or teenagers do more than adults, and that's biting your nails or biting your fingernails. This is something people do sometimes because they're nervous. I don't want to say who, but when I was a kid, one of my siblings would bite their nails, and they would bite their nails so that they never had to clip their nails. That's how much they bit off. So it's something people do when they're nervous. It's something people do. It's a bad habit. It's something people do which isn't really good for them. I'm not sure if it's bad for your teeth, but I think it's bad for your fingernails if you're always biting your fingernails. I do not bite my fingernails. By the way, as we do this lesson on bad habits, I will freely admit which bad habits I do. Biting my nails is not one of them. This might be one of my bad habits, eating late at night. So I have a rule that after supper, I'm not supposed to eat anymore, okay? But sometimes at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, I will have a snack. Sometimes I have a midnight snack. A midnight snack is a snack you have when you get up in the middle of the night and you maybe you go to the bathroom, maybe you go to get a drink of water from the kitchen, and you decide at the same time you're going to have a cookie or a piece of cake. So eating late at night is a bad habit. Certainly having a midnight snack can be a bad habit as well. Procrastinating. I am not a procrastinator. I do not procrastinate. Procrastinating is when you leave everything to the last minute. When I plan my English lessons, like today's lesson, I have the lesson all finished the day before, and I do a practice lesson. I actually go live and do a little quick practice to make sure everything is working. But some people do procrastinate. They are guilty of procrastinating. Their bad habit is procrastination. So I've used a number of different versions of the word procrastinate there, but certainly leaving things to the last minute is a bad idea. It can really get you in trouble. Students are often guilty of procrastinating. They often procrastinate. Talking with food in your mouth. This is not something I do. Usually, I don't do this, but it's considered rude and considered a bad habit, especially in Canada. I'm not sure if this is true in every country. So I do have to say that some of the bad habits I'm talking about are cultural. But in Canada, and I believe in the United States, it's considered a bad habit. It's considered rude to be eating, chewing, and talking at the same time. It's not considered polite. It's considered rude. So talking with food in your mouth, often something that children will do. Adults don't often do this, but children sometimes will do this. And then, of course, children also sometimes have the bad habit of chewing with your mouth open or chewing with their mouth open. Again, this might be cultural. And there's nothing wrong with chewing with your mouth closed or open. I know in different parts of the world it might be different. But in Canada, we will often remind our children to chew their food with their mouth closed. Take a bite and then chew with your mouth closed. So chewing with your mouth open can be a bad habit that children develop when they're younger. Smoking. So I wanted to mention this. When you do a lesson about bad habits, it can make people feel bad about themselves. I'm not doing this lesson to point out bad habits and to tell people that they should feel bad because of their bad habit. But smoking is one of the bad habits that isn't good for you. It doesn't maybe just annoy other people because of the smell. It's actually bad for your health. I cannot pass judgment, though, on people who smoke because I myself was a smoker a long time ago. So I understand that this bad habit is also addicting. Nicotine in the cigarettes is very addictive and it makes you want to keep smoking. But smoking is a bad habit. I think we all just have to admit that. For all of you out there that do smoke who are trying to quit, I wish you all the best. I think it would be great. Fidgeting. So fidgeting is when you move for no reason. That's actually called a fidget spinner. A fidget spinner was this little thing that was very popular a number of years ago. But fidgeting is doing things like this, maybe even making noise. If you kind of sit and you're just constantly, hopefully that's not all going in the microphone. If you're just constantly moving, we would say that you are fidgeting. And fidgeting can be a bad habit that some people have. Some people fidget. Some people move all the time. Maybe you're in a movie theater and the person behind you is kind of just kicking your seat a little bit repeatedly. Maybe they are someone who fidgets a lot. That can be a bad habit. It's a funny word, isn't it? Fidgeting. When you fidget. You want me to say it one more time? Fidget. Not exercising is a bad habit. Exercising is a good habit. So this is a good example of something where there's two complete opposites of each other. If you go for a walk or a run every day, if you work out, if you do things to stay in shape, you are exercising. Not exercising can be a bad habit. Some people are in the habit of just laying on the couch all the time, maybe watching Bob the Canadian videos, I'm not sure. But certainly not exercising is a bad habit. Staying up late. So this can be children or adults. Sometimes people will not go to bed on time. They have a bad habit of staying up late. They tend to find things to do late at night. Maybe they go out with their friends. Maybe they read a book late like this little kid is doing. But getting a good night's sleep is a good habit. Staying up late can be a bad habit, but it doesn't have to be. if you don't need to get up early the next morning, staying up late is a lot of fun. But if you go to bed at 1 or 2 in the morning and you need to get up at 5 or 6, I would say that's a bad habit. Slouching. I am guilty of this. So slouching is any time you sit in a way that's just not good. We call it bad posture. If you always work bent over, if you're always like this at your desk, your spine curves a little bit. We would say that you are slouching. You can slouch backwards, you can slouch forwards, but certainly bad posture is not good. This is one of the reasons why at school I use a stand-up desk. So I do not sit very often when I'm teaching. I have an adjustable desk. My teacher's desk goes up and down, and I usually keep it at the top position. I like to stand when I teach, and I like to have good posture. I like my shoulders back, my back straight, my head not like leaning to one side or the other. Too much screen time. So this is a relatively new one. Sometimes kids spend too much time on their phones. Adults are also guilty of this. I am definitely guilty of this. I think I get way too much screen time. Now, this past year, it wasn't really my fault. I was teaching from home, working from home, doing YouTube from home. All of that involved being on a computer. But screen time would be anytime you use your phone or a laptop or a computer. Anytime you're staring at a screen, we consider it screen time. And in North America and maybe other parts of the world, I'm just laughing at Modags. Be fun if you did the entire lesson in that position. No, I'm not sure I could do that. Anyways, a lot of people spend a lot of time on screens, and it can be a negative thing. It can be a bad habit. Drinking can be a bad habit. Now, I'm not sure in your country whether you consider consuming alcoholic beverages good or not. In some parts of the world, it's considered good. In some parts of the world, it's not a good thing. But certainly having too much of it, we can all agree, is probably a bad thing. Drinking too often and too much can be a bad habit for some people. Littering. When I go for a walk along my road, there is often garbage in the ditch. People often throw their garbage out the window of their car while they're driving along. So littering can be a bad habit. People go through the drive-through, they get a coffee and something to eat, and then when they're done drinking and eating, they just throw the litter, they throw the trash out the window of their car. It makes me a little bit angry. Hey, let's go to a few questions before we get too far along with this lesson. Let me see. Oh, here's a good one. So TryptoPal says, hello, Mr. Bob. In your opinion, what's the most common bad habit English learners have? I think the most common bad habit, and this is just my opinion, is people start to spend too much time listening without working on reading, writing, and speaking. I know this just from observing my own students. I teach French, which is how I have my language teaching skills. And I noticed that a lot of my students prefer to listen to music, to listen to stories, and to watch TV. And they can kind of get stuck doing that far too often and not spend any time doing the other thing. Let's see here. Yusuf says, my question, can you say I accidentally forgot something, or is that completely wrong? No, you could say that. You could say, oh, I accidentally forgot to go to the store. Totally correct, for sure. Let's see here. Yaroslav, hi there. Do you consider working a lot as a bad habit? No, I work a lot though. Take care and have a splendid weekend, says Yaroslav. I think I'm the wrong person to answer that question. I enjoy working. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy making YouTube videos. I enjoy working on the farm. So I don't know. I'm the wrong person to ask. I think, yes, some people believe that working too much is bad. But I don't know. After supper last night, I went and did some tractor work. It was a lot of fun. Judith, I have a bad habit asking tricky questions from you. What does squudgy mean? I have never seen this word, Judith. So once again, it is a tricky question for me, but I don't know the answer. Squudgy. I can't even really think of a word Squiggly? Squedgy? No, I don't know. Sorry. What? I think that's strike 3. I think 3 weeks in a row I haven't been able to answer. Ruslan. Hello, dear teacher Bob. How are you today? Is it allowed to smoke on the balconies of apartments in Canada? This habit in Russia really annoys our house residents. I actually don't know, Ruslan. That's a great question. I know in Canada you cannot smoke in restaurants. You can't smoke inside anywhere. I don't think you're even allowed to smoke in your own car if other people are in the car with you. So the laws on smoking in Canada are very, very strict. But I think your balcony might be considered your personal property and you might be able to smoke there. Good question. Lolly Lolly. Bonjour, Bob. Est-ce qu'il y a une façon de... Oh, is there a way to get rid of bad habits? Tricky question, isn't it? I don't know, because all of the bad habits I have, sometimes bad habits, you kind of like doing them. So some of my bad habits, I'm not sure how to get rid of them. That is a tricky question. 2 tricky questions today. Let's see. Katerina from Ukraine says, hello, dear teacher Bob. Do you think to eat sweets too much, it's a bad habit? Yes, I'm actually going to talk about salt and sugar later in this lesson. Sweet Friday evening. In English, we have a phrase, everything in moderation. That means everything in the world can be good if you don't do it a lot. So for instance, having a small glass of wine, that's probably okay. Having 10 glasses of wine and driving your car is bad. So we kind of say everything in moderation. So I think having a little bit of chocolate or some sweets every now and then is probably fine. Mode says, hi, Mr. Bob. What good habits you wish you had when you were younger? Thank you and have a great day. Well, like I said, I smoked for a couple years when I was in university. I wish I had never done that. I would blame my friends, but it wasn't their fault. I think it was just me being a teenager and being a bit rebellious. And then I'm trying to think, I wish I had worked harder in school. I did okay in school, but I could have done better, I think. I don't know. Let's see here. Peter from Vietnam says, what do you do in your free time and what book is your favorite? I'm currently not reading a book, so I don't have a favorite. And in my free time, I do usually read, but right now I spend a lot of time working, which we think might be a bad habit. Let me see here. Lachin says, hi, Bob, what's the habit you hate and why? Thanks for your lesson. I think littering. Littering is the thing that I really, really get annoyed with. I think that slide is still up. I really, really get annoyed when people throw garbage out instead of putting it in garbage cans or trash cans. That's the habit that people have that I think bothers me the most. Oksana, bad habits might be 1, necessary, such as procrastinating or on unnecessary tasks, or 2, part of culture, example, to be fat, as fat people are considered more important, right? I don't know. That's a tricky one. Yeah, sometimes it's necessary to procrastinate. You could say that. You could say that you're just so busy you don't get to something right away. And I think you're right, though. Some bad habits are part of culture. We certainly see that in North America with the amount of people who are overweight. So culturally, North Americans are eating too much. Let's see here. Betty says, hi, Bob. I'm curious about your exercise intensity. Would you like to share your experience of workouts? I'm also guilty of staying up late for watching your videos. Well, that's a good habit, though, isn't it? I'm not sure. Exercise. Mostly I walk and I do a few weights. Okay. So mostly, though, my main form of exercise is to walk vigorously. I make sure that I monitor my heart rate. I try to get my heart rate as high as possible. And then when I get back from my walk, I do a few exercises to strengthen my core. Like I do some planks and some sit-ups, and then I do some push-ups and some weights. But sometimes I forget to do that part. My good habit is that I walk almost every day. My bad habit is that I don't lift weights as often as I should. We'll do one more question and we'll get back to the answer. Okay. Hi from St. Petersburg. How many accents exist? Bob, do you understand other accents, including Cockney and Australian? Yes, it's actually not too hard. When they speak quickly, though, it can get a little bit difficult to understand. Okay, we're on littering. I do want to thank the 426 people who are here watching this lesson about bad habits. I think we're on track here. Let's keep the lesson going. Sucking your thumb. So sucking your thumb is something that kids do. Kids often will suck their thumb. Sometimes they'll have a blanket that they carry with them and they'll suck their thumb. I think this is bad for your teeth. I'm not 100% sure, but it is a bad habit that parents often try to get their kids to stop doing. I sucked my thumb when I was a kid. I had a blanket that I carried around with me. I'm not sure until what age. So when I was really, really young, I had a blanket and I sucked my thumb. And I remember my mom trying to convince me to stop. I think she put salt on my thumb once so that I wouldn't suck it. But I think it tasted good that way. I'm not sure. Can't remember all the details that far back, but I was definitely a child who sucked my thumb. Being hard on yourself. So this is something that people can be guilty of doing. This is a bad habit where when you do things, you often are annoyed with yourself or angry with yourself because you feel like you didn't do a good job. And so in English, we have phrases like you beat yourself up over it, or you're hard on yourself. In your mind, you just think, oh, I didn't do a good job. What's wrong with me? I should have done a better job. So being hard on yourself can definitely be a bad habit. Being late. This is similar to procrastinating, but not exactly. I'm usually on time for everything I go to, but there are people I know who are always late. Whenever we have meetings at school, the meetings start at a certain time, and usually we have to wait 5 or 10 minutes for some people to come because they're always late. That, to me, if you were to ask what bad habit annoys me, this is another one that annoys me a lot. I don't like it when people are late. Using your phone at dinner. This is considered a bad habit, and it's related to screen time. If you go out to eat with people and you spend the entire time on your phone, then what was the point of going out to eat? So it's considered polite to not use your phone at dinner. When my family gets together at Thanksgiving or Christmas, I really appreciate the fact that my brothers and sisters, they don't use their phones at dinner. We just talk and have nice conversations. Talking during a movie is a bad habit. I've noticed, don't want to blame teenagers too much, but I've noticed when I go to the movie theater, quite often there are a lot of teenagers there who talk during the whole movie. And talking during a movie, I think, is a bad habit. I think you should sit quietly and appreciate the movie that you are watching. Worrying too much. So this is a hard one. We had the question earlier, how do you stop a bad habit? I'm someone, I think, who worries too much. I think it's because I'm a dad. I think dads and moms naturally worry about their kids a lot, but worrying too much isn't healthy. It's a bad habit. I don't know how to fix this bad habit, but I certainly spend too much time worrying, especially if my children go out at night and if they're supposed to be home at 11 p.m. or midnight and that time has come and gone and they're not home yet, I start to worry. I worry that they were in a car accident or that something bad has happened to them. But worrying too much is not a good thing. Gambling. So gambling, this has, there are different opinions on gambling around the world. Gambling is something that, once again, things that you do in moderation can be quite fun. But I think if you're going to the casino every day and constantly losing money, that's a bad habit. So certainly there are probably a variety of opinions on whether gambling is a bad habit or not. My opinion would be this: if you are doing something that's destructive to yourself or that causes you to lose money regularly, then I would say it's a bad habit. I live close to the casino in Niagara Falls. I think I've been to the casino twice in my life, more to just have a look than to gamble. I'm not really a gambler. You can probably tell from my personality. It's too risky. Texting while driving. So when I go for a walk, I see a lot of people driving by and some of them are speeding, which is another bad habit. But some people are in the habit of texting while they drive. So every once in a while, a car will go by while I'm walking along the side of the road, and I'll see the person driving like this. They'll be looking down while they're driving, and I think, oh, you are texting and driving. So texting while driving is a bad habit, and if you get stopped for it, you certainly get a big fine. You don't want to get fined. You don't want to do that and get a fine. Listening to music too loud. I was guilty of this for a good part of my life. I loved putting on headphones. I had a really loud sound system when I was in university, and I still do. I don't turn it as loud anymore, but this can eventually damage your ears. Children really like to get earbuds or headphones so they can listen to music quietly. But sometimes at school, teenagers especially, they'll have their AirPods in, and I can hear their music from across the room. And I think, oh, that is a bad habit, listening to music so loud. Overeating, we kind of covered this one a little bit, but eating too much can certainly be a bad habit. I'm guilty of this one as well. You sometimes think if you exercise a lot, you can eat whatever you want, but I'll tell you this, that's not true. You cannot exercise your way out of a bad diet. What that means is you can't eat whatever you want just because you exercise. It doesn't quite work that way. You have to eat healthy and exercise. But I'm guilty of this one. This is one of the bad habits that I have. I tend to overeat. Too much salt. So this is interesting. Like, I know a few older people where the doctor has said you need to cut back on salt. You have high blood pressure or other problems because you're eating too much salt. In North America, we tend to put salt on a lot of our food. If you buy frozen food from a grocery store in Canada, frozen food for some reason has a lot of salt in it. In fact, if you eat 2 slices of pizza from the frozen food section, I think it's enough salt for your whole day. Fast food, hamburgers, French fries, all have a lot of salt in them. It is the main way that we flavor food in North America. And one of the problems with that is that people consume far too much salt, and it causes other health problems. Let me just check something for a minute. Okay, I just want to do an audio check. Oh, and while I'm doing that, I should thank the 484 people who are watching. Thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. And then, of course, we have too much sugar. So until a few years ago, I don't think this was considered a problem. We knew that too much salt was bad. Some people think too much fat is bad, but now they're thinking it's more sugar that is the worst thing to have. Along with too much salt in our diets. In North America, we eat too much sugar. There is literally sugar in everything. I had a friend come over once from China, and he commented that all the food in the United States and Canada tasted sweet. He said the hamburger bun tasted sweet. Everything, he felt like it had sugar in it. And I said, yes, it does. But certainly eating too many sweets or having too much sugar in your diet is a bad thing. Bad habit if you eat it a lot. Skipping breakfast. Now, I'm not sure this is considered a bad habit anymore. It used to be considered a bad habit, but now people are starting to do, what do they call it? Intermittent fasting, where you don't eat for 16 hours a day and then you only eat for 8 hours. And they're finding that maybe skipping breakfast isn't a bad habit. So I will let you decide. Maybe you can tell me in the comments what you think. I really like having breakfast. I usually have a fairly large breakfast and then smaller meals for the rest of the day. But it's possible now that skipping breakfast is a good habit, although it used to be considered a bad habit. Being a perfectionist. Let me just check where I am here. There we go. A perfectionist is someone who wants everything to be perfect. I am not a perfectionist. Well, normally. I think I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I think if my kids watch this, they might laugh. A perfectionist, if they were to make an English lesson, everything in the lesson would need to be perfect before they put it on YouTube. If you were, let's see here, if you were someone like this guy mowing his lawn, he's out with the scissors to make sure every blade of grass is the same height. We would consider that being a perfectionist. So why would this be a bad habit? Well, there's kind of this middle ground between procrastination and perfectionist, or doing everything late and doing things perfectly. You just have to do things so they're either good or very good. Because if you're a perfectionist, you might spend way too much time on something. Here's a good example. If I was to wash my van, it would take me about 30 minutes. If I was a perfectionist, it might take me all day. And then there would be other things I wouldn't get done. So being a perfectionist is one of those things. I see LCTA says, that's a perfect photo of a perfectionist. Yes, I was happy I found that one. I thought that was a great photo. Hey, we're going to flip to members only chat mode for a sec. Let me get into my settings here and turn on members only. We'll do this for about 10 minutes. So if you are a member of the channel, you may ask questions. You can ask questions directly in the chat for a bit. I will continue to answer questions from the forum. Giovanni from Brazil says, morning, Mr. Bob. Do you think that overstudying English might be considered a bad habit? I kind of got addicted to it. Yeah, that's a tricky one because you want to study a lot. I would say this. I would say something's a bad habit when it starts to take over the time you would do other things. So if you're forgetting to eat and you're forgetting to go to work and you're not spending time with your family, then I think it's a bad habit. Ricardo says, hello, Teacher Bob. What do you think about intermittent fasting? I don't know. I have to read more about it, Ricardo. I think that it does make some sense. Now, I think I do it slightly, like not really, because I usually try to have supper around 5:30. And then I try not to eat again until about 7 o'clock the next morning. So that's not really intermittent fasting, but I don't know. Let's see here. Annie says, that's a good question. Semra says, hello, Bob. It's nice to be here with you and everyone. Have a good day. Thank you, Semra. Good to see you too. Let's see here. Vito says, when I'm driving and see some farms, I remember your lessons on the farm. I think spending some time on the countryside is a good habit. Yes. I think spending time outside, spending time in nature is considered to be a good habit. North Americans don't spend enough time outside, I think. I'll just admit that. Let's see here. Semra, have a good day. Thanks, Semra. Oh, edit. Yes. Mode Eggs. Good morning, Mr. Bob. Do you consider checking the audio very often during the live stream a good or a bad habit? I think I get nervous when, like, I had a technical problem a couple weeks ago, so it's still in the back of my mind that one day the audio didn't work right. And then you'll notice for a few weeks after that, I'll check. So I think it's a good habit. Maybe it's a bad habit. I don't know. Maybe I should just have another person run all this and then I won't have to worry about it. Lolly, I have some bad habits, but I like them and I don't want to get rid of them. That's one of the problems with bad habits, isn't it? I like eating cookies. I have a bad habit of eating things that have a lot of sugar in them, but I like it. It's yummy to eat cookies. Eugene, I was a Canuck hoser, couch potato, drinking 2-4 Molson Muscle every week. That's a bad habit. I'm an active biker now. Yes, and let me explain what Eugene is saying there. So Canuck is kind of a fun way to say Canadian. So you could say he's a Canadian or he's a Canuck. A hoser, it's an English word. It's kind of an older word. It's kind of a bit of an insult, like loser and hoser kind of mean the same thing. And then a couch potato is someone who just lays on the couch all day. And a 2-4 is a case of beer. And Molson Muscle is basically the muscle you use to bring the can of beer to your face. I think. I'm not sure about Molson Muscle. Anyways, thanks, Eugene, for that one. Johnny Cash, hello there, Teacher Bob. I have a question. Do you have a compilation about all those phrases that you always post on your Instagram account? I don't, Johnny, but they're also all on my YouTube channel. I should probably make playlists. I used to make playlists in the past, but I do not have them have a compilation or a list that you could easily watch. So Danielle says, hello, Bob. You said you are a teacher. What subject do you teach? So I primarily teach French. I am a language teacher. One of the reasons I teach English on YouTube instead of French is because I'm not a native French speaker. I'm a native English speaker. So my YouTube channel is kind of all of my knowledge that I have as a trained language teacher, but just kind of transferred into English. I also teach computers and business class, and I did teach English a number of times in the past, but I haven't taught it recently. That's okay though. Samuel Chen, hi teacher Bob. I quit smoking about 2 years ago after realizing I had smoked nearly 10 years. It's definitely a bad habit. Is smoking common in Canada? So in Canada, the amount of people that smoke has gone way down, but I think it kind of fluctuates. It goes up and down a little bit. It's still pretty common when I go out for me to see someone smoking somewhere. And then with students, teenagers, it's cool for a while and then it's not cool and it's cool. I think right now smoking isn't cool. I'm not sure. I don't keep up with the latest trends. Let's see here. Question over here now from Sasmitha. Hi, Bob. It is advisable for us to unlearn such habits which can harm our character. What is the bad habit you frequently do? I often stay up late. Thank you, from Sri Lanka. I don't know. I think if there was one bad habit that I do that I would want to get rid of, it's that I think I still eat too much and I eat the wrong food. I wish I could eat less sweets, less cookies. I think I should have used fewer there, but we use fewer and less interchangeably now. I want to eat fewer cookies and more vegetables, but I'll do it for a few months and then I'll just start eating a lot of cookies again. Let me get back to the chat questions. Maria C. Hi, Bob. How are you? No question today, but I wanted to say hi and I hope you have a nice day. Thanks, Maria. I hope you do too. Modes. Is twiddling thumbs considered a type of fidgeting? Yeah, it would be. It wouldn't be considered annoying unless it makes noise or unless someone can see it and it bothers them. But yes, twiddling thumbs would be considered a type of fidgeting for sure. Let me see. Rumana, sorry, I don't mean to laugh, Rumana. How to reduce bad habits? I think that's the question that all of us would love to know the answer to. If you have bad habits, how do you stop doing them? So this is an English lesson. I don't have answers to questions like that. I should have brainstormed a little bit more about that kind of thing. Eugene says Molson Muscle is the Molson Canadian. So Molson Canadian is a brand of beer in Canada. One of probably the two most famous companies that make beer in Canada are Labatt's and Molson. So Molson Canadian is probably their best-selling beer, I think. Again, from Carlos, do you have a compilation of all those phrases that you always post on Instagram? I don't, but someday if I have time, I might do some things with all of those old videos. Maybe I'll try to group them for people. We'll see. Let's see here. Ario says, Hola, Mr. Bob. No question today. My bad habit is bite my nails and bite my thumb. Thank you. Yes. I have a bad habit of biting pen caps. I admitted that last week, right? That I chew on the pen cap. That's not a good thing to do. Mode Eggs told me that I should stop doing it. Let's see here. Annie gives a happy, smiley, cry face. Rod is here. Hey, Rod. I hope you're having a good day. Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. No worries, Rod. It's good to see you. Welcome. Mode Egg. So, Mr. Bob, apart from sucking your thumb and holding a blanket, you were a perfect child? No. I think I was, I don't know how you would describe me as a kid. Rambunctious would probably be a good word. I didn't always listen. That was my problem. I usually just did what I wanted, and then my parents would get a little bit annoyed with me. Let's see here. Naomi T. Hi, Teacher Bob. When you walk outside, can you hear birds chirping during summer? I like to listen to those sounds. Thank you for your excellent lesson. Yes. And I hope to do tomorrow's live stream outside. Not just birds right now, but we can hear a lot of cicadas. I know some of you have heard it in my other videos. Just a very loud sound. I think it's an insect rubbing its wings together. If it happens tomorrow during the lesson, I will highlight it. Let's see here. Rod saying hi to Mode Eggs. Mode Eggs saying hi back to Rob. I know that you're busy, so your lateness today is not a bad habit. There we go. That's correct. Rod's never late. And then I'll do one more question and we'll get back to the lesson. Peter says, how to break a bad habit and replace it with a good one. I think you just have to have willpower. Willpower is when you decide to do something and then you do it. So you just need that somehow. Hey, hi to the 526 people watching. If you're new here, don't forget to click that red subscribe button. Always good. You'll get notified when a new English lesson comes up on my channel. And thumbs ups are good too. I think it helps YouTube recommend my videos to other people. I don't know. Let's see here. Rod says, I got my second shot just now. Oh, so you got a sore shoulder for the day, Rod. Did you get it in your right or left shoulder? Are you right or left-handed? I'm right-handed. So when I got my shot, I got it in my left shoulder. So let me know in the chat there, Rod. Let's see here. I'm going to turn members only chat off. Give me a second to do that. We're going to go back to subscriber only chat. I'm going to have a little sip of water. It's nice to see people saying hi to Rod. I like it that the chat during my lives is a welcoming place. That is awesome of all of you. And then we'll get back to the slides in just a moment. I'm waiting for the slight delay to see which arm Rod got his shot in. I'm waiting in the chat to see what he tells us. Because I got it in my left arm and then my arm was sore for a while. So, okay. So this might seem like a funny one. Saying yes too often. This is something that I think I was guilty of a long time ago. It's good to say yes when people ask you to do stuff. It's good to be helpful, but it's also good to say no once in a while. Here's a good example. You don't want to help someone else so much that you forget to take care of yourself or your own family, okay? So you want to say yes. You want to say yes as much as you can to what other people ask you to do. But you don't want to do it too much because you might end up just doing things for other people all the time and not do anything for yourself. Rod says, I got it in the right. I'm right-handed. I took it in the right arm. Oh, interesting. There we go. Good move. We'll see how that works out. Daydreaming. So daydreaming is when, so some of you might be daydreaming right now. So you're supposed to listen to me during the lesson. It's kind of your choice, but you might just be kind of daydreaming. You might be thinking about, oh, later today, I might call my friend. Oh, what do I need to? So daydreaming is when you start to think about other things when you're supposed to be doing something else. Students often are guilty of this. Quite often, students will daydream in class instead of doing the work that they are supposed to be doing. So hopefully none of you are daydreaming. I'll snap a little bit to wake some of you up. Are you there? Wake up. Stop daydreaming. Pay attention to the lesson. Grocery shopping while hungry. So this isn't really considered a bad habit, but this is something that's not good to do. It's not, okay, I put this one here just for myself. If I go grocery shopping when I'm hungry, I usually buy a lot of extra things that have a lot of sugar in them. So if Jen gives me a list or if I make a grocery list and if I go to the grocery store and I'm full, if I'm not hungry, I buy what's on the list and I come home. If I go to the grocery store after work, I usually end up buying some cookies and I might buy a chocolate bar at the grocery store. It's just not a good idea. So not necessarily a bad habit, but this is definitely one of Bob the Canadian's bad habits. Grocery shopping while hungry. Eating out too much. So this doesn't say eating too much. We already covered that under overeating, I think. Did we talk about overeating? I think we did. Yes, we did. But eating out too much can be a bad habit for a lot of reasons. If you eat breakfast at home, if you make a lunch and take it to work with you or school, And then if you make supper at home, it's actually cheaper. But some people find it very convenient, especially in North America, especially in Canada, to go through the drive-through to get breakfast, to get a coffee and a breakfast sandwich, to go out and get food at lunch with some people from work or school. But eating out too much is really expensive, but it's also not healthy. So you end up probably eating too much salt, probably not enough vegetables, especially if you're eating fast food. The only vegetable on this plate, I think there's a little bit of lettuce over there, and then it looks like there might be some tomato on the hamburger. But eating out too much can be a bad habit. It's expensive and it's unhealthy. I like to eat out though. I don't eat out very often, but yeah, it is yummy, isn't it, to eat out? And it's so convenient. You just give someone money and they give you some food. How can you go wrong? Leaving the lights on. This is something children do. And I put this one on especially because my children do this. They have a habit of leaving the lights on in their room, even during the daytime. It's a mystery to me. But I'm sure that there are things I do as well that are a mystery to them. They leave their lights on. I don't put my shoes in the closet. So we all have our little strange things we do. But this bothers me because I pay for the electricity. So when I see the lights on in one of my kids' rooms during the day, or just when they're not in there, it bothers me, and I think it's a bad habit to leave the lights on. Pen clicking. So I don't have a pen here to show you. I should have found one. I just have a pencil. But some people will click the pen. It's a form of fidgeting. But they'll sit sometimes in a meeting. Sometimes students in class do this, and it'll just be like click, 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 click. That's a bad habit. It's probably a bad habit that it really annoys me as a teacher when students do this. I hope none of my students are watching, because now they'll all do it the next time they're in my class. But if you have a pen that clicks, you might have a bad habit of clicking it. Cracking your knuckles. I can't actually do this. I don't know if this is really a bad habit. I think it's bad for the joints in your fingers. But when you crack your knuckles, you go like, wow, those hands almost look like my hands. That's not me in the picture, by the way. Yeah, mine don't do it. But I think it can be bad to kind of make all of your knuckles crack. I think it's bad for your joints. I'm just not able to do it. It's never really worked for me. I guess I'm not built the same way as other people. Grinding your teeth. This is something that people do in their sleep, usually. It's when you put your teeth together and you're sleeping and you kind of grind the teeth against each other. If you go to the dentist, your dentist might say, your teeth are wearing out a little bit because you're grinding your teeth while you sleep. So grinding your teeth is a bad habit. I don't do this. Jen does a little bit, I think, grind her teeth, but I couldn't find a good picture of it. I think this is just an angry child, but it kind of looked like he's grinding his teeth. So it's when you grind your teeth is when you do this with your teeth. You put them together and you just, yeah, not good. Speeding is a bad habit. I see this almost on a daily basis as well. People drive way too fast when they go down the road. Gossiping is when you talk about someone behind their back. So when you have conversations with people, you can talk about, something cool that your cousin did. You can talk about something you bought. You can talk about positive things, but you can also gossip. When you gossip, you talk about things about other people that maybe they don't want you talking about. So you might say things like, oh, Fred bought another car and he can't afford it. I don't know why he bought that car. He's broke. He doesn't have enough money. So gossiping is a bad habit. It's when you talk about people behind their backs. Students do this when the teacher leaves the classroom. They usually talk a little bit. Rambling on. So this is one, again, that I'm guilty of. Sometimes at the end of my live lessons, I ramble on. Rambling on is when you just keep talking and you just don't stop talking. We had a family event this past weekend, so some of my relatives came over and some of them ramble on a little bit. I ramble on quite a bit. It's when you don't let, when you have a conversation, you take turns talking. Someone who rambles on doesn't let the other person talk very much. When they tell a story that they could tell the story in 10 sentences, they actually use 100 sentences to tell the story. They kind of ramble on. And it goes along with this, repeating yourself. This is something that I'm doing more and more. You tell the same stories more than once to the same people. So when you repeat yourself, yeah, it's kind of funny. The older we get, the more likely you are to repeat yourself. The more likely you are to have a bad habit of telling the same stories over and over again to other people. And then saying, this is one that I'm guilty of. I think for those of you that watch my videos, some YouTubers cut out every time they say and I don't, and I never will. It's just something, see, I just said it. It's just something that we say, that was an ums and ahs, that we say when we're thinking while we're talking. So sorry, I'm becoming self-conscious of the fact that I say so it's making me laugh. But saying is something you should try not to do if you are an English learner, but you will end up using ums and ahs because it's just a natural part of informal speech. It's a bad habit to use them too often. I just said again, if you're wondering why I'm laughing. And then I just said it again. Sorry, I should wrap this up. Saying a lot is a bad habit. Apparently, I'm very guilty of it. Hey, that is the lesson on bad habits, everybody. I'm going to jump back to the questions. Let me just fix my camera for a sec. There we go. I'm going to jump back to the questions and wrap up the questions that we have there. I don't think there are a lot, but we will check. Anton, which bad habit is the most popular in Canada? Well, I would say years ago, it probably was smoking. Quite a few Canadians smoked, especially 20 or 30 years ago. I think probably right now it's texting and driving is probably the bad habit that I see the most. A lot of accidents now are caused by people who are texting on their phone while they're driving their car. So definitely not a good habit. Let's see here. Let's see. Lily Oaks. Bob, how do you collocate bad habits? Break the habit, kick the habit, give up a habit. Are there any others? Greetings from Mexico. So we would say kick the habit. I'm trying to kick the habit of eating too much sugar. Someone who smokes might say, I'm trying to kick the habit of smoking. So definitely you can give up and break, both work as well. But kick is probably the most common phrase to talk about it. Definitely. Hey, we're done. We're done early, everybody. I must have talked very quickly. I've answered all of the questions. I did skip a couple. So if you did ask a question that was off topic, I did skip it. I tend to do that. But a couple of things. First of all, there is a live lesson tomorrow. So if you have questions about the English language, please come. It will be at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, if you did not watch this week's video, I'm going to put a link in the chat to that. Please have a look at it. It was a lot of fun to do. I think you will enjoy it. And you can even see some of Jen's flowers in the background in that lesson. What else was I going to say? Thanks to Brad and Jim for moderating the chat. Thanks to Rod, the Brazilian English teacher, and Brent from American English with This Guy for being here. Even though Rod apologized for being late, Rod can never be late. Whenever Rod comes is the good time for Rod to show up. Anyways, I do want to say thanks for watching to Lolly Lolly, Semra, Maria C, Annie, LCTA, Eugene from Etobicoke, Mode Eggs as well, Semra, Naomi T, am I already repeating myself? Probably. Marina Alexandrova, CH, Gorav Arya. Ario is here somewhere as well. I know that. Let's see here. Lolly, Mode Eggs. I am just repeating myself. Vito, thanks for being here, Vito. If I missed your name, sorry about that. Sometimes it just gets a little too repetitive. Thanks to Key Park, Samuel Chen, Tony, Ricardo, Anna, Island Resort. Hi, Island Resort. Jiank, Yasin, Sita Bittencourt, cool to see you as well. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. I'll see some of you tomorrow at the live lesson at 11 a.m. and we'll go from there. Bye.